Hello and good time zone, everybody, and welcome to Horde of Tales. My name is Markus, pronouns are he, him, and today we are going to have the third and final of our Markus Makes a Map, mapping out Pathfinder 2E's Fall of Plaguestone adventure streams. It's a bit of an unusual time for me to stream. Usually you only see my face on weekdays evenings. But I was like, why not change things up a bit? Why not get myself in my comfortable Sunday clothing, big black sweater, my good hat time hat, shout out to Tabletop Gold, and my trusty cat cam to my left, and spent my afternoon with a little bit of mapping, just a little bit of creating maps on which people can adventure and maps that people, theoretically at least, can use for the Pathfinder 2E adventure module, The Fall of Plaguestone. Yes, because in the previous two streams, we have already been building a few of the encounter maps for this first level adventure module, and we're going to continue doing that. Since we are building actual adventure module maps, that also means that this entire stream, this entire recording is riddled with spoilers. If you are planning to play as a player in Fall of Plaguestone soon, or for whatever other reason you don't want to have the adventure spoiled for you, then I would advise you to just mute the stream and just keep looking at the cat cam to my left here. My fellow cat George has decided to join us again today, this time from a bit of a different angle and position in the house. He's not showing his face yet, but I'm sure he will later on. So, without further ado, let's get some mapping done. So, at the end of last stream, we ended at mapping parts of the underground part beneath Halot's home. In the adventure, The Fall of Plaguestone, the characters find out that there is an entire conspiracy going on about certain individuals in the town of Etron's Folly wanting to do harm to the town itself and to the people in there. And involved in this dastardly plot is a certain individual known as Halot, who lives, as far as the villagers know, in a house on the outskirts of town. But the actual truth is that he lives in his own little dwelling beneath that house, in the actual basement beneath. And we started mapping that last time. For those of you who know the adventure, you will know that attached to this part, this rough layout that we have here already, here in the southeastern end, there should also be a cavernous entry leading away to other sections of the underground floor. I have not included those in this map because I think it's better to map that separately, because also the adventure describes it as that there's quite a distinct section of tunnels and caves in between. If you wanted to, and maybe we're going to do this later on in this recording, in this stream, we're going to maybe also add a part of the cave system over here so that you at least have a way of leading the player characters out of the system, out of the room and into the caves, which lead to their final encounter with Halot, because in the end, the player characters will actually fight Halot, which is actually, as far as I'm looking at the stat block of Halot, pretty cool fight. I would love to run that. Let's see. So what we did last time, we already got started on this room, which is in the adventure. This is F6. No, I'm lying. This is F5. And F5 is the actual, the basement kennel. So a lot of boxes, a lot of storage. And up here in this room would be a bunch of guard dogs, 4 total, that Halot can release. Because, as the adventure describes it, when the player characters come in through this hallway from upstairs, Halot is over here and can watch through a slit in the door to see that the adventure is coming in. And then there's a lever in this hallway that Hallett can pull to lower the bars of the dog kennel, and then the guard dogs will attack the players. We got the essentials here in room F5, but I still think we can get some extra decorations here, because this is an underground dwelling, and one of the things that I don't see in the original map of the adventure is any places on where you could store lanterns or any kind of light-giving object, because this is a subterranean place where a human lives, and humans, at least in Pathfinder, don't have any low light vision. They don't have dark vision. And I just quickly skimmed Hallett's stat block, and his perception entry also doesn't say anything about having low light or dark vision. So there should be places here where he can put some light. And I want to put in some scones, some places where light would be shining from. It doesn't have to be much, because light can shed quite a distance in most systems that care about that. Not just in Pathfinder, but also, for example, in D&D. So we just need a few. And I would place them probably here. So let's go over to our object tool. I'm going to see if looking for yes, this is the thing. Now, as we've been working with default assets in Dungeondraft, you notice that one of the default assets, one of them is the lit torch, and one of them is the unlit torch. I prefer to go for the unlit torches because I use my maps in a virtual tabletop where I have lighting set up separately from the map. So if I want this torch to be lit, I can give it a light source in my virtual tabletop. But if you're not going to do this, if you want to do some custom lighting already here on the map, then maybe having the lit wall torch is better. So it also looks like it's actually lit, and when you put the light source on there, it looks really nice. But I'm going to go for the unlit torch, and let's see what we got going on there. Let's see. I'm going to pick this one, spin it around a little bit, and now we find our old nemesis, Snap to Grit. So one of the things is the walls in Dungeondraft, they stick to the grid here, and you see, if can I zoom in a little? You see that the grid actually goes through the wall. So as long as I have Snap to Grid enabled, this lantern will just be centered along the grid. That's not what we want. We want it to be like in the wall. So we go disable Snap, and then we can place it like this. However, I'm also still on user layer 1. I'm pretty sure I want my lanterns layered over all the other objects that I'm going to put in the room. So there we go. User layer 4 up there. Don't make the mistake. I did this early on when I just learned Dungeondraft. I went for above walls. And then, yeah, you get them placed over here. I mean, it's not what we're going for. We're going to go for user layer 4. And going to place one here. And then the other one, spin, spin, spin. Right. Actually, I'm going to also, this one's going to be a bit more closer to the door. And I want to move this one as well. So we go to our selection. Click this one. And we're just going to move it a bit closer to the door. I think that makes sense because I think you would have the torches, or at least the scones in which you would put the torches, they would be close to where you leave or enter the room, because you come in with your torch and you can immediately put it in there. And going by at least Pathfinder ranges for lighting, General Torch gives you bright light in a 20-foot radius. So that would still illuminate a significant part of the room. And the same over here. So we don't need that much more light. Unless we just want to put in more greeblies, as they are called. Just little details, put more details on the map. But we don't want that. Well, I do want more details, because I think right now the room looks a little bit boring. And I especially want to first take a look at what would be the guard dog kennel. And I'm not sure how well Hallett would treat his dogs. I think, however, that even though he's the bad guy, I think he would at least make sure they have like blankets to lie on, maybe even baskets and places to eat and drink. So we would have those in here as well. Those are not on the original map. I can understand that. That's maybe kind of detail that you don't have to put on a map. But if we're already here, why not put the detail in there? So I want to see if I can find something like blanket. It gives me a plank. I don't want a plank. I want a blanket. Maybe like a rug. Oh, wait. I fell for this last time. Carpet. That's the one I had to look for. Okay, I can have carpet, for example. Now, these are colorable assets. And as you can see with the little eyedropper icon above them, I can change their color, which I can do here on the left under custom color. And I can just click on the drop down and either pick one of the pre-selected colors, or I can click the plus and create my own color. Pretty cool, because I want this to be maybe a bit of a faded purple. I also put this back on user layer 1, and since I want this to be actually on the ground, I will be disabling shadow. This kind of blanket would not be, or this kind of rug would not be throwing its own shadow since it's flat on the ground. There we go. That's in there. And we have at least one blanket for the doggo. The doggos, there's 4. A total of 4 would be in here. This is a cramped space for 4 dogs. I'm starting to be very unsure about how much Hallett likes his dogs. One more reason to deal with this fool. All right, I'm going to put another blanket in here, different color, because I'm pretty sure Hallett would not be the type to color coordinate the stuff he gets his dogs. So I'm going to put that one in there. Looks a bit rugged. Looks a bit low quality. If I had a dog, I would not be getting that. Looking over at the cat cam, George is having his eyes nicely squinted, enjoying being basked by the sun or basking in the sun. Oh, no, those eyes were slightly opened. Oh, well. He's just having a good old snooze over there. Okay, maybe another one in this color. Maybe like this. We take another rug. Like, this is a big old rug. But what if I go and make this half the size? And we basically have like I'm imagining there's just this pile over here in the corner where all the dogs cuddle up. Because I feel if there's 4 guard dogs, I want these 4 guard dogs to like each other. They're just doing their work. Like, they're not here because they want to. Hallett got them, put them here. But they can still stick to each other. And in an encounter with animals like that, with guard dogs like that, I would definitely, like, instead of having the player characters fight them, I would also totally allow for like checks of, like in D&D, animal handling, or in Pathfinder, nature checks to just win the dogs over for you. And basically tell them, hey, we're not a threat. Just let us be. Okie dokie. We got the blankets up here. And what else are we going to do? I think we need something from, like, there needs to be like water. It needs to be something like the dogs can drink from. And do we have something like a water container? I know there is something like a trough. How do you spell trough? I like this. T-R-O-U-G-H, trough. Let's put a trough in here. It's a big one. Something they can drink from. Something like this. You've noticed I haven't enabled snap to grid again, because this would get these kind of scenarios. I don't want things snapping to the grid at this point. So I can easily Put the water over here, right in the shade of the walls. And then do we have something like bowls? Big bowl, yeah. Bowl with arrows? No. Scroll bowl. Okay. Not gonna use that. Let's see. Just a big bowl. Just a big bowl. Yeah, something like this. Maybe one without a handle. Something like this. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm gonna put like spinning this a little like this, and another bowl over here. I wonder what these kind of guard dogs eat. I hope they get like some delicious dog food. A little bit of chicken, a little bit of meat, a little bit of the vegetables in there. Gotta be strong, gotta be protective, gotta be guard dogs. Now I also want some stains around here. I know we have stains, lots of stains. And I'm gonna change the color. All stains in the default assets are also can be changed by color. And I want to give this a little bit of a brownish tone. And now I noticed I made a little oopsie with the placement of my bowls and also of the trough, because first of all, these objects, like my bowls and the trough, should cast a shadow. It's one thing I forgot. Second, I want to get the dirt under them. Like I don't mind having some dirt up here on the blankets. Just a few stains. There's a lot of dirt 4 dogs can make, and I think this is still not much dirt. But I want to have any kind of other dirt stains under these objects here. So luckily, we can fix this mistake. I'm just going to select the objects, and you can select multiple objects by pressing Shift and then clicking on the objects. I have all of these selected. I'm going to move them to user layer 2, and I'm putting on shadow. And voila, mistake amended. And now I'm going back to my object tool, going back to my stains, and just gonna put some like this. Oh, yeah, my shadows are still disabled. Perfect. Maybe a little bit over here and a little bit over there. Some more stains over here. Oh, I feel like a sneeze is coming up. No, it isn't. No sneeze. Oh well. I've been sneezing a lot in the past days, but fortunately, we're all good at this point. And just put a little stain over there. And there we have it. This is where 4 guard dogs can be stationed. Pretty sure guard dogs are medium-sized creatures. Let me double check that. Let's pull up. You ain't seeing this, but I'm pulling up the archives of Nethys, which is like the site to consult for anything Pathfinder. And a guard dog is actually size. Oh, it's size small. Huh. Well, should have known. Dogs are not that big, but we should have that. This should give them enough space. Like, small creature, 4 of them in here, as long as Halot takes them out for walks. All right, cool. I am pleased with this place. This is good, but I still think that this big room, F5, looks way too neat. And I also think that we need some more dirt here and maybe some other shenanigans to show that this is a dark and dank basement. Maybe even some water puddles or something. Before we get to that, however, I will have to bring all of these containers, at least up to user layer 2, because I want to put stuff under them. When I put them in last time, I wasn't thinking ahead. And fortunately, I can correct my mistakes just as much as George can correct his position, as he's currently yawning and figuring out which direction to lie down. You have such a tough life, boy, don't you? Such a tough life. Very well then. Let's get these containers up to user level 2. User layer 2. We're not leveling up the user. Up and up. And I'm going to put them up on user layer 2. Perfect. Perfect. Shift selecting is really a time saver. It really can save you a lot of time if you're moving objects over to another layer. Oh, I am also noticing, let me just do a little thing, what we like to call in the business a live fix of things. I'm noticing that the CAD cam is not filling the frame correctly. And we can't have that now, can we? There we go. That's better. That's better. Now we can admire like his head and his two little successes even more. All right. What we got? We have those up here, and I want to put some stains on the ground and some waterworks in there as well. Some puddles. Let's first check puddles. Leaky puddles. Puddle. Puddle, not paddle. Water. Water. Blood. Water stain. Aha. So this is, of course, pretty smart. Oh, wait. Actually, there's something. There should be grates here in the floor. There should absolutely be grates here. For example, this is what I want to put in here. I think I want to have that snap to grid. Here, I have some. Do I have a bigger grate? I think I'm going to put in, yeah, here one, there one, and here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Hallett is the kind to think about this kind of stuff, to actually think of having a way of getting rid of the dankness and of all the how do you put this politely? All the dirt that gathers down here, but I think he would have some kind of sewage beneath it. All right, let's put in some blot water stain, and it's not going to be brown, like bright. See, here's the thing. For the sake of realism, I don't think the water would be this bright blue, but I want to clearly communicate that it's a water puddle and not, for example, if I give it a bit of a muddier color, that it's a mud puddle, a muddle, so to speak. What we want to do is, I think it should also be clear in how we communicate things. Colors help with that, so I'm gonna give it a bit of a bluish color. Gonna have this one not snap to grid, and just gonna have a water puddle right here, a smaller water puddle that's slowly draining into the grate over here, water puddle there. This is a moist and dank place. There should be some water puddles. There's probably water dripping from the ceiling here at some point. So I'm gonna also still gonna put some mud in here, put some dirt on your map. I want to at least have it match the color. Now we start this. Yes, this is the right color. So let's take some. So like, for example, there might be some of the crates here. They might have had some mud on them and it splashed off. And we have that in places like this. This. Maybe even also here. Like we could have here because Hallett is going to go through this door. We could have some of the mud of his boots over here. And I would actually think I would put some mud stains out here in the hallway as well. It's not a great place to be. This is all right. All right. Yeah, this surely is a dungeon. and there's dark stuff in it. I like it. I like it. Now, the encounter itself, like in the adventure itself, the only thing that you have in here is because Hallett is going to notice the characters approaching. There's only going to be a fight with 4 guard dogs here, which means that the player characters are going to be fairly limited in the room for navigation. Keep in mind, let's say the average party coming in here is 4 characters. And then we have coming up from here are 4 guard dogs coming in. There's going to be a lot of cramped space here. A lot of opportunities for good old flanking conga lines, and not much else is happening here. There's some loot in the boxes over here that the players can find, but sooner or later they will be moving on over here. If you want to spice this up, if you want to maybe add a different dynamic to the encounter, you could edit this map and, for example, make the water and mud puddles bigger and turn them into difficult terrain. Or have players, if you're using this in Pathfinder, actually have to attempt a balance action to keep balanced over these surfaces. Keep in mind, however, especially when you run this in Pathfinder, that anything that you add as challenges to the environment will make any fight that you have there also more deadly. So while Pathfinder's encounter building rules are pretty tight and pretty well balanced, adding in factors of the environment can be an element of unpredictability for you. All right, so we got that, which means we are going to move over to this hallway and this room that is full of potential. And for those reading along in the adventure, that is room F6, Hallett's home. I'm just gonna briefly read from the description for this room. This chamber is entered via a short hallway, remarkably only for a large steel wheel on the wall. This opens the iron gate in area F5, which we just built, behind which Hallett keeps his dogs. A viewing slit in the door to area F5 allows one to see into that room. Hallett flees immediately after releasing the guard dogs. He moves quickly through this area, exiting into the caves beyond, where there are additional defensive and, more importantly, his stash of juggernaut mutagen. This leaves his living quarters unattended, but searching for clues here will take time. The home is divided into 3 areas. We have the larder. It's a simple storeroom filled with scraps of old meat, a third of a wheel of cheese and sack of turnips, a barrel of weak ale. There's also a crate of empty wine bottles, which are actually of good Chelish vintage. Lavatory. There's a lavatory that he's going to have. And there's also, of course, the living area in the middle that we're going to tackle. Lots of stuff to do here. This is the place where Hallett then retreats to. And on the map itself, in the book, we don't have a lot of detail. We do know that there is 3 distinct areas. The big one here is the actual living room, where there's also a bed, and we're going to probably put something like a stove or something in there. There's the larder, which is this place, where we learn that there's empty bottles of good Chelish vintage. I'm not sure about wine culture in the world of Golarion, of Pathfinder, but I would think that Cheliax is a wine country. Makes sense to me. And then there's also the lavatory over here. And this little corner here, this is where in the adventure there is a cave-in. And I want to briefly see, just want to play a little bit around, if I can do something here. If I can go and make a cave over here, like this. And if I then go blast it open, I could. There is possibility here. I am not yet convinced if we're going to attach it to this one, but we have possibilities to extend that over into that cave. But before we get to that, before we continue Hallett's basement over here, I'm going to briefly treat myself to a little bit more coffee. little bit of a breather. Just going to take, let's say, like 5 minutes of a break, and then we're going to continue this mapping project. Take the chance to also refill your cups, pet your pets, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes. See you in a few. Alrighty, there we are again with our map of Hallout's underground basement and our cat cam with a very sleepy cat, but very cute and beautiful white socks. All right, so this remaining chamber here for Hallout's underground dwelling is his living room, which is also his bedroom and his kitchen. So it's basically a studio apartment. Wonder if it's as expensive as studio apartments in other locations. So I'm first going to put in the essentials, which are his bed, a dining table, and a stove in the corner. Let's see if I can find a nice little bed. I don't think he would have a king-size bed, which I should also put to scale 1. If he would have a king-size bed, no, that's way too big. Ooh, there's even one with, oh, wow, yeah, I think this is a king-size bed, but no. He doesn't have the space for that. He would be more like, yeah, this is going to be I'm not saying it's broken, but this looks delightfully, I want a messy bed. I don't think he would keep his sheets tidy and everything, so I'm going to put it like this, change the color of the blanket. Let's give it a little bit of a green, how does black look? Black, no, let's do a little bit of a, oh yeah, that's pretty good. I also don't want the bed to be 100% neatly aligned to the wall. I think it would be something like this. And then we're going to go for the table. Oh, wait a second. I want this bed to not be on. I actually wanted to show shadow. I still have shadow disabled on my objects, which for now I actually want shadow again. So we're turning the switch back on, and we're going to take a table. Let's see. It's a small table. Oh, that's actually not bad. Pretty big though for it. This is called a small table. Don't we have anything? Actually, a little bit. This is a design table. It's like a drawing table someone would have. I think, even though the map gives me like a rectangular table that I should use, I think Hallett, as far as I can gather from the information in the adventure, is just by himself. So why would he have a long ass table? He's going to have a small table all for himself. And I'm going to put it. Well, I'm actually going to have this one snap to grid again. So I have it nicely aligned here. And where there's a table, there should be chairs. So let's get some chairs. Small chair. Something like this. One over here. One over there. So in case Hallott, not Harold. It's not Harold, it's Hallott. In case Hallott ever gets visitors, he at least has a chair to offer. But I also want to put things on the table. So we're going to look for dining. Yeah, sure, let's put a fancy feast on there. No. I just want to have maybe like a plate over here. Do I like that it drops shadow? No, I don't want it to drop shadow. That goes off. Plate over here. Maybe some cutlery. A fork. Oh, geez, this is a big knife. Wow. We got something smaller. Yeah, it's better. Can I mirror it? Like this. I think Hallett would know how to set a table. So we have that in there. And I want in the corner, I want to have like a stove or something. At least something that would help keep Hallett warm. I want something bigger. Something maybe like an oven. Oh, this is big. No, Hallett is not getting into the Great Absalom Bake Off or something. Doesn't need that big, but I do like this stove because it looks a bit more homely. I don't think he would be the type for that, but this looks practical. You can also keep things warm in there. Okay, we got that in there, but I wanted that actually to throw shadows. I forgot to turn on shadows again, so whoop, there we go. It's absolute shadow magic. We have all of that in there. So now we get to the larder, where we, in the description of this room, in the larder is a simple storeroom filled with scraps of old meat, a third of a wheel of cheese, a sack of turnips, and a barrel of weak ale. There's also a crate of empty wine bottles in one corner. They are all of good Schellish vintage and were probably quite valuable. Is that... I think that's not a lot to have in there, but let's put some shelf space in there so that at least theoretically, Hallett could have a lot of stuff in there. Object tool. Do we have shelf? Elf on the shelf. Merchant shelf. It's like a corner shelf. Oh, wow, this is way too big. Yeah, no, this is for like a library or something. Wait, actually, do we have like shelf, storage? What does storage give me? Wardrobes. I could have like a wardrobe or something. Luxury wardrobes. Merchant shelf. Chests. I'm gonna put like one shelf like this. And then we're gonna spin it. Put one shelf over here. Some places where you might, if you want to, either put additional stuff for the players to find here, or to just show that, oh, these shelves have been empty, but there might have been other stuff in there. Like now you only find in here there's scraps of old meat, and that's a third of a wheel of cheese, and oh, there's a stack of turnips. But at some point there was other stuff here. So it looks like whoever was here tried to take what they could with them and then get out of Dodge. You could also always consider that the player characters find actually other useful stuff in here. Something like a larder could be a good place to also have them find potions or other one-use items. Within the context of Fall of Plaguestone, there's a lot of stuff that happens with mutagens, for example. You could have them find something like that. Now, usually, Pathfinder adventure modules are pretty well written, keeping in mind the expected treasure that player characters should find. But if for some reason you need players to catch up with the expected treasure they should have at a certain level, shelves like these, storage spaces like these, perfect. Perfect to have them find stuff like that. So with that in mind, let's also, I think there was something about a sack of turnips in there. So we're going to put in a sack. We're going to have an actual sack in there. Yeah, sack where something tumbles out of. Here in the corner. Pushed over. That's in there. And we also have a barrel. It's a barrel in here. Barrel. Maybe this one over here. And then we have some bottles I want to throw. There's like empty bottles. That's what the adventure actually said. These are, again, I forgot to put on me shadows. Put on the shadow. There we go. I want these things to cost shadow. That's fine. And we go to the object tool. And I wanted to have bottles. Bottles. Bottle. These bottles are very big. I don't want that. I want smaller bottles. I'm just gonna put on shadow. Am I though? No, I'm gonna quit these. There's just a few flung all over the ground. Maybe one like just right out of the larder. And then we're just gonna go back to our old friends, the stains. Give them a bit of a winey color. And have like some of them actually been spilled wine. Now for this one, I have to pull the bottle up to a layer above. So it lies in there, and voila. We have also some more storytelling. Maybe Hallett actually in a hurry was drinking a few of the final bottles he had. We have all of that in there now, and the larder is good to go. All right, but we're not done yet. We do also still have, there is a lavatory, and the description for the lavatory is that the lavatory just sits off the main living space, and it is little more than an open pit. This is also where Hallett disposes of his garbage, and there are scraps of moldy food and bits of junk in the corners of the room. Anyone who investigates can attempt a DC 15 perception check to notice that there are a number of small, identical bottles scattered among the trash. Examining the bottles reveals they all have a silvery residue in the bottom that smells strongly of iron and something else terribly acrid. A successful DC 15 crafting check reveals this to be a remnant of a juggernaut mutagen. Critical success in this check uncovers that there's also something sweet smelling in the mix. So, if anyone at least inspects the lavatory, they can actually get an interesting clue about the upcoming encounter with Hallett, because Hallett actually has something called Juggernaut mutagen on him. And Juggernaut mutagen is one of the mutagens that, amongst others, alchemists and Pathfinder can make. And if you drink it, you get an item bonus to fortitude saves and temporary hit points. And when you're at maximum hit points for at least one full minute, you regain the temporary hit points. However, the drawback is that you get a -2 penalty to will saves, perception checks, and initiative rolls. So since Hallett has these on him, since he can use those, in the fight against him, you could, as the GM, have him drink one of these to get some bonuses, while at the same time being penalized on will saves, perception checks, and initiative rolls. Players might know this by inspecting the lavatory. So let's build the lavatory. I do know that we had what was it? Hole. Yeah, it actually says in the adventure it's not much more than a hole. So let's make it that. And let's just make it maybe not the cleanest space. Let's just have a little bit of water here. Just a little bit of water stains. Happens. Like this. I think there's also on the map itself, this is actually, yeah, there's a curtain to this area. Do we have something like a curtain? Something like that. Water. Cage clutter. Decor. No, there's a flags. Door, this is broken doors. Instrument lighting magic. Obstacle. Storage, table, thorn, tool, trap. Tree, vines, water, weapon, window. Let's see. Wood. No, we don't have anything like a curtain that I could put here. That feels like something's missing. boat. Okay. Let's put a sail of a boat here. That would be a terrible placeholder, wouldn't it be? Bring it up to size 1. Yeah, no, that doesn't look good. I'm not gonna do that. Cage. Card, cave. Chair, clutter. Cobweb. Ooh, I do want to... I think that... Yeah, I'm going to put this... I use a layer 4. And have a little bit of cobwebs. Love me some cobwebs. Like, not in real life, please. I do not love cobwebs in real life, but... I do like them as dungeon decor. Please don't show me your cobwebs in real life. I do not want them. Let's see. I think I had a nice one here. Let's do it, spin it like this. There we go. But we still all on the lookout for a curtain. Yet there isn't. Well. Very well then. No curtain to the lavatory. But we still need to a little bit, I want to fill out the space a little bit down here in the living room. And I will do that by putting in just a few more crates here on user layer 1. One over here. Now that must make sense. That's an escape route. No, it shouldn't be over there. Let's just put a barrel here. Another crate over here. And how about we have a few more water stains? No shadow on them, but there is one over here. A little bit of splatter maybe from something over here. And let's just have a big old puddle. Have a big old puddle in the hallway over here. And the next one is I'm gonna have some mud. I wanna have some mud. Some mud. Put that over here. And I wanna have some mud on the ground under the, maybe a little bit more, because this could be his, I mean, this is Hallett's escape route. So there could be some more. Do we actually have like footprints or something? Prints, footprint? Footprint? No. Okay. So we have some mud over here. Livening all of that up a bit. And that's in there. Okay. And again, what I want to have in here on user layer 4 is a little bit of scones. Lantern scones. I would say that Hallett would have a scone over here to have light in his dining area. There would be a scone over here to have light over there. And maybe also have an additional scone on user level 3. No, let's have one. Yeah, let's have one here at the entrance of the larder. And there we go. There we go. Hallett's basement place, where in this lower corner over here, I think I'm just going to quickly draw it in. I mean, we have a little bit of time. I want to at least show you what I mean when I say there's actually a tunnel leading away here, like this, out of this place. like this. It would be coming out there. It will mean I would also have to change around the walls, and I'm not going to do that. Let's just say we know that the tunnel should be there, and you can add this by yourself because I'll be sharing these files as well. You can edit this on your own leisure later on, but I honestly do think you have a pretty sturdy map of Helot's underground hideout at this point. And I think with the maps that we've built in these 3 streams, you've gotten a good impression of a few of the encounters in Fall of Plaguestone. You have also seen how easy it can be to build this with just the basic assets of Dungeondraft. It's a process of trying things around, of seeing what translates well from the map as it is in the adventure, and where you might have to apply some creative, personal touches. I think the most important thing is when you're mapping these kind of maps from adventures is that you think about what kind of encounters, what kind of things happen on the map, then see how the map in the adventure supports that and how you can maybe even enhance that while you're already making the map. Don't be afraid to add details to your map and think about how these details tell a story. We've added, for example, the wine bottles over here that have been hastily drank, telling a story that Helot was trying to get away, knew that someone was on his heels. Think about what the players might do with the things on the map. Like, what does it mean to have all these crates on the map? In an earlier map that we made with the overgrown garden around Helot's house, what kind of tactical advantage does that give them? And also just feel free to, if you ever build encounters or maps from a pre-existing adventure and you think the map is just not good, feel free to redesign it and see what you can do and give it your own spin. This has been really a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do this. This was the final of 3 Markus Makes a Map streams for the Fall of Plaguestone. If you enjoyed this and you want to support us, or Horde of Tales, for making not just more of these streams, but generally tabletop RPG live streams, we would be very much appreciative of your support. There's multiple different ways that you can support us. You can, on Twitch, follow us, or even subscribe to us, which helps us enormously getting a larger reach and helps us in making new productions. You can also go to our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/Horde of Tales, where you can tip us for if you like what we do. This also helps us enormously and helps us to support the people who make their time available for Horde of Tales. And you can also support us by following us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. And it helps us also if you follow us there, if you share our tweets, if you talk with your friends about Horde of Tales and the content you like from us. And if you also want to hang out and chat with us, you can also join us on our Discord, which you'll find links for down below. And it's also on that Discord where we will be sharing this map, where you can also find the previous maps that we made, and where we'll also be sharing the actual work file of this map. So if you have Dungeondraft yourself, you can load it up and edit it. Since this is also only using basic assets, which come with Dungeondraft, you don't have to get any kind of third-party assets. You can just load it up and get it in there. So feel free to join us over on our Discord as well. For those of you checking this out, thank you very much for hanging out, and I wish you lots of fun. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe, take care, and see you soon on Horde of Tales.